minutes.
Okie dokie.
Hi, this is Taffeta Darling here at Project Comic Con 2013 with George Perez. Yay! We're doing this for Comics Wow. Thank you for taking some time, George.
Thank you,
I appreciate it. So let's just get right into it. I was recently reading over the summer that you kind of made a career change. Now you're like an exclusive artist with Boom.
Yes, I'm actually an employee. I'm actually an employee of Boom Studios, and
You're more of like a staff artist. You're starting off as a staff artist before actually doing your own stuff first.
Right. I mean, I hopefully will be doing like a bunch of covers and the like for them, because even though I'm going to be working on my own project, during the time I'm actually working, I don't want to be invisible.
Exactly.
So yeah, I hope to be doing a few covers or pinups, and I'm looking forward to doing stuff that no one ever associates with George Perez, since I know they do. They have the rights to Garfield and the rights to Peanuts. So, ooh, to do those type of covers, we absolutely enjoy.
I would love to see you dual normal. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that. I mean, there's so many things that obviously some of the original stuff and some of the ones that they've licensed, including Adventure Time, I believe it's called.
Oh wow.
Yes, yeah. I'm saying, hey, anything that they want, I want to be available for that, because I need to keep myself obviously in the public eye, or people will forget me by the time my book comes out.
No, that's totally exciting. That's one of the questions I had here. What was kind of the work that you're excited to be working on now that you're not going to be like in the mainstream superhero side of things?
Well, the thing is, since Boom was very, very encouraging as far as doing creator-owned work, which is one of the reasons they wanted me. Just the idea of being creative again, as opposed to work under the corporate structure and the way the industry is now, wherein the companies dictate the stories as opposed to you coming up with something original and then they would roll with it. But Boom, they're fanboys. They're all fanboys there, and the idea that after I pretty much resign myself, then maybe I'll just be an art monkey for the rest of my life and not really get much chance to create. During the interview, which they disabused me of my thought when I thought I was going there for a job interview, and they said, "Wait a minute, you think you're interviewing for us? No, we're interviewing for you." It was very gratifying. But then my wife was watching it. I was trying to think of some ideas of what I would like to do, and started hearing me be creative again. Something I thought I wouldn't be doing for quite a while. So, Boom reminded me of being when I first started in comics 40 years ago. And that same excitement when you walked in and just talked to editors and jawed about story, and that's absolutely a lot of fun.
No, that's actually awesome. It brings me to my next one. Like, why Boom? What made you decide to make Boom your new home as far as?
And this actually, I have to thank Mark Nathan, who runs the Baltimore Comic Con and has a comic store in Baltimore, Maryland. He and I have been friends for a number of years, and he wanted me to meet his new daughter. So went over to a restaurant, and during a point of conversation, he knew that I was becoming in need of a new atmosphere, and he told me about Boom, and followed up with Philip Sablik, who was handling a lot of their marketing and promotional stuff, and finally, went into the offices and liked what I heard, and thankfully, I was at a point when my exclusive contract with DC Comics was coming under expiration, and when it was offered, I opted not to renew. So it became time for a change. I have been exclusive to DC for over 8 years.
Yeah.
So it was time to move on. I know Marvel was trying to get me, and I was trying to keep it down low as far as anyone knowing that I had left DC, because I know that Marvel was going to be calling me immediately to try to get work. In fact, I was offered work. I was very lucky that at my age and the number of years I've been in the industry, that when I left DC, it wasn't because, oh my gosh, I need to find other work. I was turning down jobs left and right, because thankfully, and again, I know I'm an exception in the industry. I earn a significant income in royalties, so I can afford not to really work as hard as I used to. Which, again, for those who obviously are listening and not watching, obviously I have eye problems that I'm dealing with. So the idea of being able to take it a little easier and work at a better pace was something I needed, and thankfully I can afford to.
Yeah. That'd be really nice. So, is there anyone in particular that you're looking to team up with, or someone you'd really like to work with again, or that you haven't worked with before?
Well, since I'll probably be working mostly on my own work as I progress at Boom, there are a number of people who want to work with me. I like to work with them, but I think right now I need to get the satisfaction of coming up with and seeing to fruition something of my own. Now, one of the things about if I do end up doing covers, there are a lot of writers and a lot of artists who are looking forward to me doing the covers of their books. I was very flattered. I had done the program cover for the Baltimore Comic Con, and I did Hero Bear. And Mike Kunkel, the creator, was just so jazzed that I did Hero Bear. And I would love to do a cover on his book as well. So, I mean, it's very gratifying that, you know, so many, you know, creators there want to work with me.
Exactly.
I've been blessed with the ability to work with so many people. I've had a great relationship with just about everyone I've worked with. And the idea that I'm still the pretty girl at the dance is still a very nice thing. I mean, next year I'll be turning 60, and I still feel like a young kid in this business.
You don't look a day over 40.
Thank you, darling.
I only say 40 because I know you're a little bit older than me, and I'm in my 30s. So, can you tell us anything what you're going to be working on, or anything you can announce?
Well, since it actually has been officially announced now, I am working on a. They say it's a 4-issue series. It may end up being longer, and that we'll discuss. But it's called She Devils. I wanted to take some of the things I've been most well known for. Obviously, teen books. Yes, I've done that so many times. And my run on Wonder Woman was still so very, very well received after all these years. So I wanted to do a very female-centric series, but a lot of females. So I came up with the title actually was taken from a one-shot fanzine I did just before I started in the industry in 1974, called She Devils. At that point, it was a bit of a kinky, James Bondish type story with female leads, obviously in various forms of kinky costumes. But I wanted to use that title because no one else has used it, and create a much more expansive story. So it's a science fiction story, but it has a lot of time traveling bits, which I won't go too much into. I don't want to spoil it.
Exactly.
But I wanted to challenge myself as an artist. So that in this story, yes, one thing about science fiction stories set in the future, you can pretty much design anything. So you can create your own art direction, as it were, or scenery. But I wanted to challenge myself, so I found ways of being able to draw the Colosseum in Rome during the Gladiator Games, feudal Japan, Victorian England, the Wild West, all and something sword and sorcery, the Conan style, all to service the same story. In fact, all the backstory of the lead characters, I think, is more fascinating than the main story in order to get them all together. So, like, I just wanted to challenge myself. And another thing, which I had done one time before on a creator-owned project called Crimson Plague, that I really, really enjoy, is that almost all the leads, I mean, definitely all the leads, but almost all the characters in the book as well, I'm modeling after real people, especially the cosplay community. Because the cosplay community, I think, are one of the greatest manifestations of the love of comics I've ever witnessed. I mean, I just love how our work on the printed page has inspired people to get into costumes, sometimes do charity work, and just get a sense of freedom living in a fantasy life that we've inspired. And I think it's absolutely great. And unlike the majors, who are always been concerned about, well, we can't actually sanction this because we've got trademark characters, Boom has been looking for a project that they can get cosplay community involved. And here I come with one that's tailor-made for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that all my leads are either cosplayers or people who are going to be willing to get into those costumes, including my wife. But I wanted it to be since it's, even though obviously the female leads, many of them are attractive, I didn't want that just to be a pretty girl book. I wanted it to be a lot of different types of female roles there, like I did with Wonder Woman, where I had the older Julia Capitellas and her gawky teenage daughter. I wanted a real sense of what the experience is, from a female point of view. And so I've got a large cast of women who are, I think the youngest person signed up is 18, because obviously I'd need a parental permission otherwise, to women in their 60s and of different shapes and sizes. I mean, that's the fun part. And as a challenge to an artist, I'm known for drawing individual faces when I draw characters. Now they can't just be individual, they have to be recognizable. So if I'm doing a page where there are 12 characters on that page, that means 12 times I have to go to photo reference to make sure I get the face right. That's a challenge for an artist, but I look forward to it. I need that. And hey, here I am with an eye patch, assigning myself the most difficult type of work to do, but it's the only way to grow.
No, and I think it's really neat that you actually have a lot of the costumers and cosplayers. Because I've seen a lot of the stuff that you do with other people, like especially when you're out at Dragon Con when they have that JLA and the vendor set up, and you're out there with like your big, pencil,
Which
prop
the fans,
and stuff, and
the fans made that for me. I mean, the shirt I was wearing.
You give so much back to them. Like you're out there with them doing the photos, and always have a smile on your face. So I think it's really neat to see you out there with like the big group of costumers rather than just kind of watching them walk by.
And I'm the person, like if I'm sitting at my table working and I see a nice cosplayer pass by, I yell out to them so I can get their photos. Because I'm the fanboy to them. And when I'm in Dragon Con, my biggest enjoyment is, okay, finish sketching for the day. At nighttime, go from one hotel to the other, camera in hand, just taking photos, loving the reaction when they realize who's taking their photo.
Right.
And then they, of course, want to get photos with me as well. It's absolutely a joy. I absolutely.
And this is something that you said that you're also working on, and what's a little bit of background about this?
Well, She Devils is a bunch of futuristic freedom fighters, one of those alien invasion stories. But one of the artistic selling points for me is the fact that there's a lot of time traveling, a lot of characters who are hiding out in different portions of America's past, so that I get to draw the greatest variety of types of stories that I can. Where in one book I can draw the Wild West, the gladiator games in Rome, Victorian England, feudal Japan, modern America, and I just want to challenge myself. I mean, I don't know how many more series I'm going to be doing in my lifetime,
right.
So I want this to be as encompassing as possible. And again, the idea of drawing a lot of strong female leads is something very attractive to me, and the fact that every single one of these characters are based on real women who've agreed to model for the characters is exciting. I mean, before it was officially announced, I kept getting emails from each of these girls. When can I talk about it? When can I talk about it? So they were relieved when I could finally announce She Devils.
And the way it seems like it's almost like sci-fi and history, because you're getting to touch different historical points of, of our lifetime.
And I mean, I'm not a history major or anything, so I'm not going to get bogged down with detail. But I do want to do some stuff that when people will say, oh, well, that might explain some of the stuff. Obviously it's a fanciful explanation. I mean, obviously I'm heavily inspired by watching a lot of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But at that same type of feel of playing with it a bit, and hopefully that it becomes a fun read. I've come up with the basic idea for the first story arc. The biggest challenge for me now is to be able to fit it in just 4 issues, which they're suggesting. And that we may have a little bit of bone of contention.
Right.
I don't, because I'm introducing 9 major characters.
Exactly.
So like we may have to. I mean, one of the things about Boom I like is that they're incredibly flexible. Whatever is good for the story. So I'm sure it'll be a discussion we'll have, and we'll find a healthy compromise.
Very cool. So last question, I guess, really is, this is your first Project Comic Con, right?
Oh yes.
How's it been treating you? Is it,
oh, are you kidding? I love the idea that from 8:30 in the morning yesterday till 5 o'clock, I had this long line of slave drivers making me draw and sign and have photos taken, and I loved it. I always credit my best conventions with not coming home with blistered thumbs from twiddling. So like, the fans have been great. The people running the show have been great. You've been great. So like, I've had a wonderful time here.
No, thank you so much for taking your time to speak to us. I hope we get you in Dallas. I'm looking forward to this. I'm excited about your new career transition. I'm glad you're going to have a lot more freedom and be able to give us some stuff that's actually going to be true to you and like creator owned and written and stuff.
Oh, and once, obviously some people who've seen me before are going to ask, I am undergoing eye surgery and everything else, but I'm hopeful there, and like doing everything my doctor tells me. So
yeah, we are wishing you well. All the fans do wish you well.
Yes.
Although it's a very good look for you.
I know.
I mean, Nick Fury.
Hey, nothing. I may be cured, and the eye patch might stay.
I think you should.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is Taffeta Darling at Project Comic Con 2013 with Fangirls, Dames of the Round Table, and Comics Wow.